One small dirty sensor can lead to a $2,000 misdiagnosis. I've seen major parts replaced when the real issue was just a $50 sensor that needed cleaning. In this video, I'll show you which sensor fails the most and the one cleaning mistake that permanently ruins it. Stay until the end to understand why shops replace this sensor instead of fixing it and why drivers keep paying for it. Why modern cars depend on sensors more than engines? Let's start with a reality check. Modern cars don't run on fuel and air alone. They run on data. The engine control unit doesn't guess. It calculates everything using sensors. Fuel delivery, ignition timing, transmission shifts, and emissions control all depend on them. And there's one sensor at the center of it all. When it gives bad information, everything else goes wrong. The sensor that fails the most is the mass airflow sensor, the MAF. Do you know which sensor is the #1 cause of headaches in modern cars? It's the mass airflow sensor, or MAF. And it's not failing because of a bad design. It's failing because it lives in the line of fire. Positioned directly in the heart of the intake stream, right after your air filter, this sensor has one high-stakes job, measuring every single molecule of air entering your engine. Think of it as the engine's brain stem: how much fuel to spray, how fast to shift your gears, and exactly when to fire the spark plugs. Here's the danger. If the MAF data is off by even a fraction, the entire system collapses like a house of cards. Why the MAF sensor fails so often? Here's what most drivers miss. The MAF sensor is incredibly delicate. Inside sits a tiny heated wire that must stay perfectly clean to function. But because it's constantly exposed to a blast of incoming air, it's a magnet for trouble. Even a microscopic layer of dust can trick the ECU, ruining your fuel mix and killing your performance. But the real question is, do you know what the #1 killer of this sensor actually is? The silent killers of the MAF sensor. This is where the real damage starts. 1. The performance trap. Those high-flow oiled filters, they're MAF killers. Excess oil mists onto the sensor, blindfolding it with a sticky film. 2. The cheap filter. Low-quality seals let fine dust and low debris bake directly to the sensor's hot wire. 3. The enemy from the PCV system. Even with a perfect filter, your PCV system leaks oil vapor that slowly poisons the sensor. It happens to every engine. The only question is, how much time does yours have left? What a dirty MAF sensor actually does to your car. Here's why this sensor causes pure chaos. It doesn't just die. It fails slowly. That's what makes it dangerous. You'll feel sluggish acceleration, terrible fuel economy, or a rough idle. The worst part? The check engine light might never even turn on. You'll spend thousands chasing ghosts, replacing parts that aren't broken, while the real culprit hides in plain sight. Why this turns into expensive repairs? This is where psychology costs you thousands. When your car feels weak or shifts oddly, most shops assume the worst: failing transmissions, worn engines, or bad injectors. I've seen drivers waste a fortune replacing throttle bodies and oxygen sensors, or paying for expensive software updates, all for nothing. The reality? Most of the time, all you need is a $10 can of cleaner and 10 minutes of your time. Quick question: have you ever thrown parts at a problem and still didn't fix it? Comment yes or no below. Why the ECU gets confused and makes everything worse? The scary part? Your car's brain trusts the MAF sensor blindly. When the sensor sends fake data, the ECU forces the engine to adjust everything: fuel, timing, and shifting. It actually learns to run poorly based on these lies. Why many shops replace the MAF instead of cleaning it? Here's the truth. Replacing a MAF sensor is fast and profitable for shops, but usually a waste of your money. Most sensors aren't dead. They're just dirty. If you buy a new one without fixing the root cause, it'll be contaminated again in weeks. The cycle repeats, and you pay twice. Don't replace it until you try cleaning it first. What manufacturers quietly recommend, but don't emphasize? Service manuals hide the truth in the fine print. Engineers assume your car lives in a perfect lab, using only OEM parts and breathing ideal air. But the second you use a cheap filter or a drop of extra oil, their math fails. The system wasn't built for your reality. While the manual assumes you're managing contamination, your engine is actually suffocating in silence. Most drivers are waiting for a breakdown that's already happened. Why this sensor fails more now than 20 years ago? Modern engines are high-performance addicts. They pull more air and run on razor-thin tolerances that older cars never had. In the past, a tiny sensor error was a hiccup. Today, it's a catastrophe. A microscopic mistake in airflow data now triggers total drivability failure. The margin for error has vanished. Your car is smarter, but it's also much easier to break with a single speck of dust. The only safe way to clean this sensor, step by step. Longtime mechanics don't rush this. If you remember one thing, let it be this. Restraint, not aggression. 1. Turn off the power. Disconnect the battery. It prevents shorts and forces the ECU to forget the lies it learned. 2. The surgical removal. Unplug it, unscrew it, pull it straight out. Don't twist, don't drop, it's more fragile than glass. 3. Use the only tool. Use MAF cleaner only. No brake cleaner, no carb spray, no compressed air. 4. Hands off, never touch the element. No brushes, no cloths. Spray from inches away and let the chemicals do the work. One touch equals a permanent $300 mistake. 5. Let it air dry for 10 minutes. No heat, no rushing. Reinstalling it wet is a guaranteed short circuit. 6. The rebirth. Start it up, let it idle. As the ECU tastes the clean air for the first time, your rough idle and MPG issues vanish. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and share it. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or questions. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips to keep your car running longer and smarter.